right, I really just want to take a minute to thank everybody who's willing to listen to my story about how I came across this great company, Somavedic. I know that you'll probably hear a lot of people and me slipped and say Somavedic, but it's the same company. A little bit about why I was really looking for this product. I think there's many many reasons why people would look into this product. For me, it was the 5G EMF protection. So for where I live, they were implementing smart meters, and we were just like the entire United States anyway, just starting to get set up for 5G implementation. And I couldn't keep track on where it was getting started, but I knew it was coming soon. And we actually live in a condo, and I don't have much of a say on what the HOA decides sometimes. So even if I wanted to say I'll pay the extra monthly fee to not join into the smart meter, you know, it wasn't really something that I could decide. So I wanted to have more control. Not only that, right near where we live is just huge, huge power lines. And I have two little ones, two toddlers, a boy and a girl. And I just have studied so much about radiation and EMF 5G that for us, it's just not something that I want to expose my family to if I had a choice. And that's what I was looking for. And anyway, it was like 3:30 in the morning. I was on the internet just searching fiercely. I think it's about after 3 or 4 months of just whenever I had free time looking into a solution. And I didn't think that I would find anything. And really almost like one of the last attempts, I came across Somavedic. And it's not that it was the first company I found, but it was the only one where after reading the lab test results, I actually understood the science, the technology enough to say I could understand how this works. I had some minor questions, but not really, you know, to the point where it just didn't make any sense at all. And anyway, I want to take this moment to ask Uri to introduce himself. It's been incredible working with you, and I look forward to hearing some of the answers to what I think is going to be people's most frequently asked questions.
Yes, that was a very beautiful intro. Thank you, Tina, for that. So, hi everybody. My name is George or Uri, and I'm the CEO of Somavedic. We have two companies. One is in Europe, in Prague, is the headquarters, and then there's one in San Francisco. So I'm running that one. So thank you for having me for the introduction.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was just really thrilled that you were willing to do this. I appreciate every minute you could spend with us. I think that for me, I really wanted to, the first thing I thought was, oh man, I see lab test results that make a lot of sense as far as the biomarkers and things like that. But it really took for me to understand that this isn't something that I could take an EMF detector and test it. But understanding the science, I think that's going to be the part where people have to realize that it's not an EMF blocker. Now, would you help explain that to my audience? Because I think that that's a lot of people assume that it's an EMF blocker and what the difference is.
Yes, sure. That's a great question and quite a frequent one. So I start like what Somavedic is and how does it work, and then we'll come to the blocking versus mitigating. So Somavedic was designed with the intention to mitigate the negative effects of EMF radiation. The way how it looks like, you can see on your left or right the green the green thing on behind Tina Valen. So and inside of each Somavedic, yes, that's it. And inside of each Somavedic, there are precious stones and minerals and precious metals, and we are amplifying their properties and frequencies into environment. So there is proprietary technology. There are some natural energy amplifiers, So all those precious stones and minerals are working in a correlation, and they are amplifying each other. This is creating like a field around the device that when our bodies are in that field, they don't negatively basically react or respond to the EMF. And we've measured that, well, not we, but the labs in Germany, Austria, or Slovenia, or in Switzerland, were measuring that people, when people are in the field of Somavedic, their biomarkers are improved, like the ones HRV, which is heart rate variability. We have a preclinical study that is showing the blood pressure was lowered with 70% of the participants without any change into diet or supplements. At the same time, there was the improvement of psychological effects, so they felt better, they felt more calmer. And there's like much more like positive effects that we could talk about later. But so the EMF radiation is still there. I mean, if you would take the EMF meter, you would still measure there the same amount of EMF before and after Somavedic. The difference is that Somavedic is creating a field, as I mentioned, a field of its own that makes a difference for our bodies, for the cells of our bodies, that they are not affected that much by the EMF. And the field and the frequencies that are working with our cells has that kind of effect that it's helping to regenerate and restore the balance more faster. So yeah, this would be in a nutshell.
Awesome. So one of the things that I was really glad to know is that even though it's manufactured in the Czech Republic, is that right?
Yes.
That I could actually get this shipped out quickly to the people of the United States. And I feel very special to have the Somavedic as something that we offer on our website. And not, you can't find this product everywhere. And can you just tell us a little bit about Somavedic, it being offered in the United States compared to in Europe, how it's doing out there, and if people in the United States are open to this type of technology?
Yes, sure. So we are on the market since 2010, mainly, of course, in Czech Republic, and we are very well established in Europe in general and in Japan. And last year, I came to the US basically to set up the US branch, because we had like quite like a lot of, let's say, demand from the US. So we decided to set up a US branch there. So it's the comparison between US and Europe is in a way it's quite similar, because it really depends on the audience you are talking to. Because even now, for example, we are established here in Czech Republic for 10 years. And even now, there are like hate comments and like it's a scam and like whatever you can think of. And this is after 10 years of really like lots of articles in printed magazine, like doing the awareness about EMF and Somavedic, and you still get this kind of like feedback.
Right.
And we are in the US, we are just starting. Basically, we are there since September like last year, and we have really like great feedback. Well, we are growing really fast. Without even investing in like a paid marketing. So it's a word of mouth recommendation, which is the best like proof that basically Somavedic works. And in general, there is like really like positive feedback. But of course, we do have feedback from the other side, that, yeah, like, don't believe that, it's a scam, etc., etc. So it's I think it's similar. It's similar. The difference is that we have much broader network of retailers and resellers in Europe than in the US, where we mainly work for now. We mainly work with influencers from the health and wellness space.
Awesome. Yeah, it's interesting because when I got into my field, which a lot of people know that my husband and I own a website that focuses on water filtration. And after studying about contaminants and a lot of things that we are very concerned about on this, more physical realm of removing contaminants, it really took to understanding what's happening to our water, and learning about water structuring, which is another thing that this device gets into that I'd love for you to explain it in your words how that works. But really, it is like almost a quantum science, quantum physics knowledge for, to understand how this technology really works. And it really is, to me anyway, similar to grounding. So maybe you could, I know that that was like a multi-part question. So maybe you could explain a little bit about the structuring and then the harmonizing portion.
Yes, yes. So as you said, it's like the the foundation, the basis of Somavedic is based on, as I said, like controlled release of energy from precious stones and minerals, and these are very subtle frequencies. There are, of course, like devices that can measure it, but not the actual like frequencies, but the impact that it has on our bodies. For example, in Europe, there are like bioresonance clinics or devices that are able to measure it. But well, not but. And in terms of the like water structuring, so in our cells there is basically only structured water. That's the best water for our bodies. But the water that we usually drink from plastic or from tap water or whatever, it's not structured. And what does it mean, like structured water and not structured water? If you would freeze the water and look in under the microscope, you would see a very nice regularly shaped crystals. So that means that the water is structured. And Masaru Emoto was one of the first, let's say, scientists that brought this to the mainstream and awareness. He was talking about the structured water. So structured water is more bioavailable for our bodies, but because it's the most natural, like, let's say, type of water. And how Somavedic is doing it, how Somavedic is basically harmonizing or structuring the water is just by putting the jug of water or glass of water next to it, because it's it's the same way how it's creating the field that is mitigating the EMF effects. The similar frequencies that are inside of from the different precious stones and minerals that are inside are affecting the water as well. So you just put the jug of water next to it, leave it there for 15-20 minutes, and it's structured. And the way how you can tell, how most people can tell, is the taste changes. It's the water is more smooth, more silky, more, you just feel the taste is just different.
Yes, that's an interesting point because I actually was introduced to structured water before Somavedic, and we were purchasing structured water device, and it was something that I thought was a scam, but I was willing to try it. It was like a 30 days or 60 days guarantee, and sure enough, you can tell that it's hard to describe. It's lighter, and it's wetter. It's more satisfying, and to know that this does that as well was a really big plus for me. For me, I was just looking for the EMF thing, but it's wonderful. I kept the box that it came in because it's very protective. And I took it, you know, to the beach house when we were on vacation. So it didn't matter if they had 5G or not. I felt like I was okay.
Yeah.
But it was really nice. I left the glass of water by it, and because the water structuring device at my house, you can't take it anywhere. It stays in the house. So it was really nice that I could take this with me. So anybody out there, if you get this thing, save the box. It's great to travel with. Um,
Yeah.
you know, Uri, as we were starting to work together, I think one of the questions that I asked you that I really enjoyed was learning a little bit about how you came across Somavedic. And I was wondering if you could share that. And I'm sure you'll add something else that I don't know as well.
Yes. So yeah. So that's an interesting story. I'm not. Yeah. Well, I'll just share it. So I was always, let's say, fascinated by like planets and history and Egypt and what was going on there and with the pyramids. And it was probably 10 years ago when I was reading about the effect of pyramid on food, on water, on whatever. Just like a plain simple pyramid that you can build at home. And so then I just moved on to different things, and after years and years, it came back. We had a very interesting experience when I was with my partner Lucia. We were like attending a yoga class, and they had like a huge, I don't know, like 8 feet pyramid there, like a big one, and inside there was a like a massage bed that you can lay on top of that. So we lay down. I mean, I lay down, and what I was experiencing was like a huge, colorful like light, like a disco ball of light when with my eyes closed, and it was really interesting because as soon I never seen so many colorful lights with my eyes closed. So that was interesting experience. Then my fiance Lucia tried it, and she was experiencing how like hot, let's say, ball of energy is moving around her stomach, so she could physically feel it. So and so this was really interesting experience just when you are laying down in a pyramid. And I said, like, I have to have this at home. So I was starting to look at like who could build one, but I needed a foldable one because like that I could just build every day, and because of the space we were living in. And I found out that my good friend, he is building them, like the foldable ones. So I visited him. We like were talking about, but at his place there was these amazing, uh, let's say, like bubbles of light with different colors. It looked like a lamp, and I've asked him like, what is that? And he said like, yeah, that's a Somavedic. That's for the EMF and stuff like that. And so I got like curious because it sounded very interesting, and I always had that feeling or urge to help people because I was struggling with health and like lots of years, and had to find my own way to basically out of it. And so since then I'm having like I want to help as many people as possible. And when he introduced me to Somavedic, I found it like the perfect manifestation of what I wanted to do. Like, this is the perfect thing. It's so universal, so helpful. He told me about different stories, very interesting ones. What happened to people that brought Somavedic home. So I took one, and I got home and took one Somavedic with the pyramid home, but I used the pyramid, then totally forgot about it. And yeah, when I plugged in the Somavedic, my jaw started buzzing. It was like from electricity, and I was walking like for 2 or 3 hours. I felt like a bit drunk. But this is the like a usual effect on that it has on people, that they are getting used to vibrations, let's say, of the Somavedic. This is very temporary, and yeah, it just lasted for 2 or 3 hours, and so then this was my first experience, just the jaw, but then I took it to my work, and so when you know how you feel at the end of the day when you are leaving work at, let's say, 4, 5, or 6, you don't think that much on how you feel, but it's like automated. But I brought Somavedic to work, and when I was leaving that day, I don't know, it was like 5 o'clock, I realized how like the energy levels I had were through the roof. It was such a huge difference that I could all of a sudden could compare, like, well, like, this is when I'm leaving like my work, and this is how like energized I feel, just because I had a like Somavedic next to me. So this was the trigger, that yeah, like this is what I want to do. And I've gave few Somavedics to friends of mine, and they experienced like detox, like they were like 2 days running to toilet and like detoxing. The other one, yeah, had an interesting manifestation that they were basically trying to, how would I explain, like they were in a relationship and they were fighting, etc., etc., and she was not sure what to do about it, and all of a sudden, like when she brought Somavedic home, in a few days she just knew what she wanted to do. So it has it's opening, I don't want to say like your intuition more, but in a way that it's mitigating the external effects. You have more energy and say intuition, and you are more connected with yourself. So yeah, this is how it started for me about 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. I couldn't help but like want to share also a little bit about my experience, because you plug this in and the light goes on, essentially, and then you're like, is it working? And that's like, I think everybody might have a similar thing like that. And my husband and I were like really excited, and then we plugged it in, and it was like we were a little bit confused at first, because we were like expecting like some major big change in our life. And we were just like, well, I guess we'll just see. The first thing was figuring out where to place it, and we placed it pretty much towards, it's not usually here. I brought this out just to show everybody, but it's usually towards the center of our living space, to make sure that, the 100-foot radius that it covers is going to cover everywhere we are in our home. But a couple of days went by, and we did notice that the kids actually slept through the night. We were like, was that a coincidence, or like, am I just, you're just sitting there and you're wondering, you're like, is it working, or did we just really tire them out? But then I was like, we go to the park every day. It wasn't anything different. So I think there was a lot of that. And it wasn't until quite a little bit later, I want to say maybe 3 weeks or so, my husband was like, he was talking about me to a friend, and he's like, oh, Tina Valen always has these crazy dreams, and then she wakes me up and she has to tell me right when I'm in the middle of sleeping. And we're in Florida, so when we first moved here, this is a little embarrassing to say, but any home in Florida, it doesn't matter how clean you keep your space, you're gonna meet a cockroach once in a while. And they scare me. I have an irrational fear of cockroaches, and when we moved to Florida, I was having these dreams with cockroaches and things. And he said, you haven't woken me up to tell me about any of your crazy dreams anymore. And I said, no, I get really good sleep, and it's not that I'm not dreaming, but it's not like something so terrible that I felt like I needed to wake you up to tell you about it. So that didn't happen. Like, I didn't notice that right away. But when we looked up back at the timeline, I was like, oh, that's interesting. It was right around the time I got this device and plugged it in. So it was, and it was very interesting, because I was taking notes, and I was like looking for you know, big changes, like I would see something or feel something. But for me, it was just the restfulness of sleeping, and not having those bad dreams and things like that. And I really just haven't had them really since, and it's been many, many months. So
Yes, yes, that's a great example. And and this is the way. I mean, we have so many amazing testimonials about how someone's sleep improved immediately, how they get rid of headaches, how their children behave better, how someone is not having such a mood swings, how you know, like they just feel more, or just more calmer. Like there are we have like these really lots of amazing stories, which is great. But at the same time, people have really high expectations. When they turn it on, they expect like what miraculous thing will happen to me. So, and when someone is not struggling with anything, it might be very subtle, and there like some time has to pass before they actually notice some kind of difference. So yeah, it's the story that you are describing is very common. At the same time, people can have really strong experience in the first day or two, and then like no experience whatsoever later, because it's just there, and they can't feel on themselves any difference. But it doesn't mean that the Somavedic is not working. It's just, yeah.
yeah, when I was listening to you, it's so hard to try not to interrupt, but you mentioned headaches, and that was another thing for me is oh, before kids, and as a woman, I think half of our audience is going to know this. Women go through this monthly thing where we get crazy headaches sometimes. And I wasn't one of those before kids, honestly. Like I would meet other women and they'd say, oh, they couldn't go to work or whatever. And this is karma, right? Because I was like, oh gosh, she's probably over exaggerating. But after kids, oh my gosh, my body changed. I did have very bad headaches, like huge migraines, like the ones right in the back of my eye and stuff. And it was most of the time, not every time. And I would always say, you know, try to stay hydrated or something like that. But that was another observation that I had with Somavedic, that it's like, oh, you know, I turned it on. I'm like, where are all these great things that's supposed to be happening to me? But it was like many months later, I'm like, wow, it's how many months has it been since I had a really bad headache, because I knew it was that time, you know, for me. And then you just say, this works, you know, it takes a
Yeah.
little bit of time. You know, you're right about the expectations, and that was me too. And then it's also like all the good things that happen, you're like, oh, was that a coincidence? I mean, we also had that conversation, my husband and I, in this house, like so many times we're like, oh, is this the Somavedic coincidence? Or, you know, and that's kind of like the funny joke that we share when something good happens around here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can just confirm what you are sharing with us, that it
Yeah.
is how you are described. Yes.
Oh, you know, this is maybe has nothing to do with anything, but I think you should know. Want to share with you when I first got it. Where I placed it in the middle of the house was down the hallway from my bedroom, and where we sleep, it is actually before Somavedic. Even if my husband had a little fan on and had a little tiny LED light, it would bother me, and I'd be like, could you just put tape, like, you know, dark tape over it or something? Like I just can't sleep. I feel like it's like staring at me. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Even like we bought a digital clock, same thing. So when we got the Somavedic, I was like, oh, you know, it's lit up. So maybe when I'm sleeping, I should just cover it with a towel or something like that. So we did that for a little while. And one day I was cleaning and I forgot. And this was probably 1 or 2 months after I bought the device. And I went to bed, slept through the night, and then my husband's like, well, what happened? Are you just all of a sudden you don't care about lights anymore? That means I can leave all my devices on. And I said, it just doesn't seem to bother me. In fact, like I know that it's there, and it's actually the brightest in the room.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yes.
compared to like the little LED stuff. You could always throw a towel over it or whatever if it bothers you. But for me, it was kind of comforting knowing that, you know, oh gosh, the EMFs around here are just, my friends that are sensitive, when they came to visit me before the Somavedic, they would actually say that they feel a headache. And so I was never as sensitive, probably more than some people, but not like considered those super sensitive people. But I would believe them. Like it was very clear, like they'd say, you know, I could feel the energy is different. So it was actually comforting to see that light, but I was getting such good sleep. I just like close my eyes and go to sleep with no problem. But he thought it was funny because he was like, what, is my little light, it bothers you, but your light's okay. But it was, so now I literally have it just a little bit down the hall with nothing on top of it.
Yeah. This is again one of the things that yes, it's quite bright light, and because of this, we don't recommend putting it in the bedroom, because the field of Somavedic is around 100 feet radius into all directions, penetrating walls and floors. So it's actually enough to have it in the center of your apartment or home. Or if you feel that you want to have it near you, then just put it in the next room to your bedroom or hall. But when you have Somavedic for the first days, it might, until your body gets used to its energies, it might disturb your sleep when you have like by the first day and the first day you put it in the bedroom. So that's something we don't recommend. You can do that after a few days, 6, 7, or something like that. But yeah. So yeah.
So I think that a lot of my friends usually call me and they ask me, you know, since I started off with my career in water, this is after, of course, like a lot of the working for other people in corporate America. When my husband and I started our water filtration company, we were like, you know, everybody has to get their water filtered, right? Because we learn about these test reports for our local water, and we're like, what are we drinking? For us, it just didn't make sense. We were considering spending money on organic foods. So we were like, you know, between food and water is more important. Our logic just said our body is mostly water, right? So, you know, we're replenishing that every day. So why are we going to bother to spend this premium for the cost of organic foods when we're still drinking? Oh my gosh, in Florida, they put fluoride, chloramine, chlorine, and then, you know, a bunch of stuff that just happens to be there. And now that I'm understanding about the water structuring, I know how I feel about filtering versus structuring. But before I say what I think, I actually am very curious to know what you think. Like if you can only choose between filtering your water or structuring your water, and you had to make a choice, you can't have both. I'm very curious to know what your response to that question is.
Yes, that's a very interesting question. And I, of course, like will tell you my approach. That doesn't mean it's the good one or the better one.
Right.
But I would choose according to what I know and the research that I've done on the structured water. I would go for the water structuring than the water filtration, because from different videos and experiments that that scientists were doing, they've said that it's much more important the structure of the water than the actual content in terms of what's in the water. For body, is the primary thing is the structure, if it's structured or not. So if a water is structured, it has basically, I would say, only positive, it's only positively affecting our bodies. If it's not structured, it doesn't mean that it's doing some kind of harm, but if it's not structured and there are lots of different chemicals, then it's doing harm. If a structured water has different chemicals inside, the body is basically can get, like, is not, so the chemicals are not affecting our, like, let's say the blood, the water in our bodies when the water is structured. So this is what they found, that the structure is much more important than the actual chemical or physical, like, content of the water. So that's why I would go for the structuring.
It's really crazy for me to listen to you share that, because I started asking myself the same question um, about 6 months ago, maybe, and I wasn't sure. I was kind of like torn, because I am always learning, always reading new books, always watching new documentaries, and reading new studies that come out. Like, my idea of what's entertaining is probably not what most people's idea of, leisurely time spent. But I just really do enjoy studying the concept of water. And it wasn't until a good friend of mine asked me, Tina Valen, if you could only do one. I actually have a portable structuring device. This is before even Somavedic came into my life. And she said, you could only bring like a small filter, a small structuring device. And I said, if it was, I got to head out with some bug out bag and I could only fit one thing, I think at this point of all the things I've learned, same answer as you, and then since I've had that, I guess, change in that paradigm shift in my head, it's basically just understanding how these molecules in the structure works on a resonance and a frequency realm. And then the chemicals is more like on a physical realm. And that quantum science, once you learn it, you can't erase it.
Yeah, exactly. This is, no, I mean, if someone has the option to do both, definitely do both. If one, my take would be the water structuring. But as you mentioned, yeah, so I think that the future in, let's say, medicine or preventive health might be, where I see it from what I found on internet and what I've studied, is basically in water uh, containing information, that is infused with frequencies and information, and you just basically drink, like, it looks like a plain water, but it has information that will heal or restore or whatever is wrong with your body. So this is where I see a big, let's say, where we might get soon. And it's all, I mean, this is already happening with like on various levels with drops and extracts. And so because you have just put one drop into glass, and the information is there, and then it's working with your body. But in the future, I see much wide spectrum and more mainstream, let's say, medicine working with this.
Oh yeah, I think that we're, at least you and I are on the same page as that. And I work with a couple different CEOs in the water industry with the different brands that we have and the ones that I've explored to. And a few of them come to mind that say the same thing. If they had, and they are always very, it seems everybody's always hesitant to just outright say it. They'll say, well, for me in our home, we would prefer structuring over, chemicals. But, the only reason why some people are choosing to do both, like here, it's if you don't, you still smell that chlorine smell. So in our home, we do the filtering and then the structuring after that. Yeah, I was wondering, I think we shared your experience with the Somavedic when you first started using it, and I shared mine, I think short-term and long-term. What are some of the more common ones that, generally the people who have brought the Somavedic home in your experience, that they're saying that they've noticed? And also, what can they do to test that it's working for them?
Yes. So the more, so there are like effects or traits that are repeating itself, that I mean, in terms of the feedback that we are getting from Somavedic users. So first of all, the most common feedback that we are getting is the sleep, that the sleep has improved. We also have like screenshots of people measuring the HRV and deep sleep via Aura rings or different other technologies, wearables. And when they first got Somavedic, and the first night the chart was off the roof, and they slept for 10 hours, and so we have this. So the sleep would be the first thing. Then the energy levels during the day, and this is of course connected to the sleep. But when you have Somavedic at, let's say, in the office, or doctors when have it in their office, they say that they just feel more, like they have more energy, they feel more productive, and they not only feel, but they said we can handle more patients, so we are more productive. So is the sleep, the energy levels, then it's the headaches that we've talked about already. Then is the feeling of calmness, that people just feel more relaxed around the Somavedic. And yeah, so it would be these main things: sleep, energy, mental clarity. Yes, the brain fog, mental clarity, energy, and let's say productivity, and that people feel calm. So this would be uh, the most common ones. And in terms of how they can measure it, so they can of course like experience this change, and if they are not experiencing any change in this, then uh, there are, for what we our experience is that people can have measured the levels of free radicals in their bodies. So now on the Amazon there are like home kits, like it's a test strip that you can buy, and measure the levels of free radicals in your bodies. Uh, and our experience is that anybody that has done the test before the Somavedic arrived, they've done the test and they had like quite high levels of free radicals, which is oxidative stress, which is like not good for our health in the long term, mid-term and long term. So, and after they got Somavedic, they've done the test again in 2 days, and the test strips showed like zero or very low levels of free radicals. So this is one of the ways how people can test it. And then, of course, when somebody has a bioresonance clinic in their city, they can test it there as well, because there are probably 5 most common like bioresonance devices in the world, and all of them can measure the effects of Somavedic on our bodies. And we are actually producing Somavedic for the biggest one and the second biggest one, for the two like world producers in the world of bioresonance devices. So yeah,
So tell me, I think that you mentioned at one point some works that Dr. Emoto, who has done very similar work to Dr. Pollack, and he's Dr. Emoto's since passed, but that his son is still working with a lot of the same experiments and things that he was, all his life. And can you tell me a little bit about what Somavedic is doing with him?
Yes, so when the founder of Somavedic, Ivan Rybyansky, was in Japan, so he met the son of Masaru Emoto, and he really they talked a lot about the Somavedic, and he really liked the Somavedic, and he's done some tests of his own, and basically showing that it's structuring water and doing those nice crystals that that are now like famous on the internet. So it was just basically another confirmation from someone like from, let's say, Masaru Emoto Labs on the effects of Somavedic on the water.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, I wanted to also ask about um, the usage of Somavedic with some other popular devices that are known to help address with EMF. Some people would be wondering how this is different than the EMF purses that, or wallets that they have. And then also, if you have any insight on how this is different than the EMF services that they're paying monthly. I don't know if you're familiar with the ones where it's done to their home based on their location.
Mhm.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I only am aware of the EMF services in terms of like shielding. You know, they come to your home and they'll like shield your bedroom or you know, like take care of these things. But I'm not very familiar with other, let's say, EMF services except
Okay.
some kind of products.
Okay. Um, what else was I going to ask?
But so far, what we've learned is that Somavedic can be, because there are different EMF mitigation devices, there are different like shielding products, and people are using all of these, and on top of that, they just buy Somavedic just because they wanna like experience it. And when we found out that like Somavedic is not interfering in any of this, it's like additional help or support, because it's not working on frequencies, it's working with different frequencies than any other product that is out there. So it's helping, and you can combine it with anything.
So for the most part, it's something that's safe. So does anybody have to worry if they're pregnant or have pets or if somebody is sick? I think I know what you're going to say, but I just wanted everybody to hear from you.
Yes, yes, sure. It is of course perfectly safe. It's not that, as I said, those are very subtle frequencies that are not measurable with any like let's say normal devices. So it is not only safe, but it is like beneficial to have it even when there are pregnant women or pets. And I can share one quite, yeah, it's a funny and sad story that one of my colleagues or friends from San Francisco told me, that they had a parrot for like a bird for 15 years, and the last I think it was about last 5 years, he had no feather, and it doesn't like usually grow back. And he had a Somavedic for 2 months, and during that time, all the feather grew back, and like they were really amazed by it because the last 5 years it hadn't had any feather. And then eventually he flew away, and they were quite they were quite devastated by it because they had it for 15 years. But it's still very interesting like experience, like the effect on the bird. And we have similar stories with pets, with small dog or cats, even with horses. When you put it in the stable, they during the night they are more calmer. So yes, yeah, it has
Any
so far. Sorry, go ahead.
plants that you would want to share?
Oh, of course, the plants, yes. So, so the same friend that shared with me this story with his parrot also told me that the plants have 4 times bigger leaves in his apartment than they like any previous time before. And this is quite a let's say a common thing that is happening with plants. when they are around the Somavedic. And you don't even need to water them with the structured water. It's in just enough that they are around. They are in the apartment. So yes, we have people telling us how their plants are bigger, grow faster, how their neighbor plants grow bigger as well. Yes, so
That's
all of
awesome. So maybe if you could correct me if I'm wrong, the way that I might clarify any confusion that some people had, probably the same questions that I had before I brought Somavedic into my home, is that it doesn't block the EMF, you know, like a shield. But what it does is it really just optimizes our own human power to defend ourselves. So it's not that it gets rid of all germs and parasites and bacteria and virus in your home. I think that that's, you know, um, a confusion. It's actually boosting your own ability to ward off. Is
yes,
that
yes,
correct?
yes, yes. That's exactly correct. So as you said, it's not blocking EMF. The EMF is still there, but what it is doing is that it's helping our bodies to basically regenerate and heal itself faster uh, by mitigating the effects of from the outside, from the EMF or from whatever. Because when the body is not affected externally, the automatic state, what it is doing, it starts to repairing, like healing itself, well, whatever is wrong with it. So this is what is this is well this is what we think is happening with Samovedi, because we didn't measure like what is actually going on. We know we measure different biomarkers. Of course, when oxidative stress or free radicals are from high to low, that means the body is in a good shape. But from uh, from the biology itself, when the body hasn't, there's no need to fight anything, it's automatically like repairing whatever's wrong with it. So yes, it has this is so some sort some sort of what Somavedic is providing a space for the body to regenerate, to work on itself. And of course, the different precious stones and minerals that are used in Eastern medicine for centuries, they are also adding, like supporting, let's say, frequency vibrations. But overall, the body itself, it's doing the work.
Awesome. So when you explained that to me, it just kind of triggered a question. Is it still working when you unplug it? And how much is it working if it is?
It is. It is still working when it's unplugged, as the main point of it is are those precious stones and minerals. So, and they are in that like a special configuration that they are supporting and amplifying each other. Uh, so when it's turned off, it's about 50 to 60% efficacy.
Okay.
And the reason why it has to be plugged in, because usually, so to keep it working like 100% even after 8 or 9 years, because you can't take out the stones and clean them, recharge them at sun, moon, or in water. They are just inside, uh, yeah, for years and years. So that's why it needs to be plugged in to keep the stones, let's say, active all the time. And also regarding the LEDs, it's not only like that it's like providing the light, but it's also a sort of self-regulating system that once one of the LEDs goes off, we know that there's something's wrong with the Somavedic. That's the way how you can tell. If all the LEDs are on, it's working perfectly fine. If one of them is off, and you can see that immediately, there will be like a black black spot on the Somavedic that one of the LEDs is not working. That means it's something's wrong with it, and we give a 5 years warranty to exchange Somavedic, like you'll get a new one, and 60-day money back guarantee. So there is almost like no risk to trying it out and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it works differently for so many people that you know, like if somebody was looking for it to do something, I almost feel like just because it didn't happen to me, I would encourage them to still try it, because we're all so different and we have different history. You know, our bodies are experiencing different things. We're in different environment. It's just, you know, when there's very little risk, you could just go ahead and try it and see what you think. I wanted also, one of the questions that I had about um, like, what are some of the testing that some of the people who have ordered Somavedic, I heard that are doctors. And you had mentioned at one point about, um, you know, so, like a possibility of it being approved as a medical device in certain areas. And I was just wondering if you could share that story.
Yes, yes, definitely. So there were two doctors that bought a Somavedic for their personal use for at home, and they've noticed the difference on, of course, like, well, not of course, but their wives especially felt the difference in terms of headaches and energy and sleep, but also the plants. They've seen it on their plants that they are just bigger, and they say like, okay, when it's doing something to the plants, we have to. It has to be like measurable in a way. So they decided to
Sorry,
do a
these
study.
were just, these are just customers. Like they bought it, they tried it. They are not related to the company in
Yes,
any
they are
way.
not related. Yes, they are not related to customers. They were just usual customers, but doctors.
Okay.
Yeah, that had this experience, and then they decided to measure it. And they, as they work in a balneology area or institute, balneology means like it's a similar to spa when they put healing mud on your body. So that's balneology. And and they decided to do a study there, and they like took 10 elderly people, and they put some Vedic next to their next, like in the room where they were sleeping, and they were measuring this for weeks. And at the end of the preclinical trial, they compared the data, and it showed that there is like a significantly difference between the data from the first week and from the fourth week in terms of the blood pressure. And they were measuring this only with 10 people because they just wanted to test it out. But now, so they were measuring blood pressure and the like psychological tests on how the patients felt, which had, as I mentioned before, even there was even a more significant improvement in terms of how they felt. They were just happier. And so this small study, then they decided, so this is like a success, and we will do a bigger one with 55 patients, and it will be double blinded. It will be like a clinical trial, and after that they will basically be the ones that will file for put together the papers that the Somavedic will be like a medical device, which is a huge thing considering that it was designed to mitigate the EMF, and all of a sudden they found out that it's lowering the blood pressure. Uh, and this is, as I explained previously, it was not designed to lower the blood pressure. So how we are explaining this is that it's giving the time and energy to the body so it can deal with it. and normalize it. So this is like what we are working on right now, because the last 3 months, because of the COVID, we were not able to do this, but we are beginning this clinical trial very soon, and one with a corporation as well, where they will be measuring different biomarkers.
That is, I think that's such an incredible story. And as I was listening to you share it, and I was thinking, geez, I'm actually glad that I purchased it before it was a medical device. Not that, I mean, I don't know, but something, it just triggered in my head. I was like, what if this becomes more expensive? If it's a medical
No,
device, it gets more.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there are no plans to make it more expensive for the uh, for the general audience, like the customers for home use. I mean, there we might come up with more expensive models, but that would be for like special purpose for clinics, for hospitals, for I don't know, like corporations or whatever. But we don't plan any change in the pricing for end customers.
Yeah, I meant to ask you about those two models. I think it's the amber and the gold. So they're, I guess, an upgrade from the one that I have. The one that I have does the EMF structuring water, preventing illness from viruses, bacteria, and all that stuff. But can you share with me like why people are purchasing those ones, and um, or if you know anybody who has, or what their experience is, so that I could just learn about that?
Yes, so for example, so the Ember was developed when the 5G started in the second half of 2019. That was the main reason why we developed the Ember model, which is like 4 times stronger than the Medic Green Ultra. The field is the same, the radius of the field. It's just the field is provides even more like protection in a way, uh, and it's designed for really, let's say, highly polluted, EMF polluted places. Like as I mentioned, if you would have like a 5G tower next to your home, or when you are in a city center a corporation or co-working space, and you have like 20 or 30 Wi-Fi's there. So that was the reason why we developed the Manic Ember. And then and for example, some surgeons here in Prague put Ember into the surgery room, and they say that they can focus even better, and the personal behaves better in the surgery room. So it's really interesting. They have, of course, firstly they had the experience at home, and then they bought the it was their personal money.
Right.
Then they bought it to have it on the actual surgery room.
So, and they brought it to work just like you did.
Yes, yes, they brought it there.
Amazing.
So yeah, and then there's the gold, which is custom made for each individual in terms of so when Ivan, the founder of Somavedic, he was let's say going through some things in his life, and he started to, let's say, get out of his body, like astral travels and stuff like that. And he became also very like intuitive. So how the Samovedic gold is made is that the customer that would like to have it sends us his photo or her photo, and Ivan tunes into that photo and put together the right configuration for that each individual. And why is also gold very different from than the other models is that it's working on and with your like family relatives, like that are related to like by blood, and no matter the distance. So we have like different testimonials that your family on the other side of your country or whatever is experiencing. It's helping basically with more to be more self-aware, with releasing like energy blockages, uh, like physical or emotional. So that's the gold one that is working not only with you but your family as well.
And that's the gold one that you were mentioning.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it and I was just, very intrigued with it. And I said, maybe that's my next goal. But for now, I'm going to start with this, and I really like it so far. So you never know, you might see me with the gold one day.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, this is also incredible. I think I'm trying to think about my friends and the people that I know and what they would be asking me. And it's just, you know, for me anyway, as my background as a scientist, I used to work as basically a lab manager, and to see a lot of the test results. And like I said, Somavedic wasn't the first company that claims to have a solution for 5G that I looked into, but it was the only one that after reviewing it, and I studied a lot of, oh goodness, you know, fourth phase water and energy, as well as like the sacred geometry. And it just made complete sense to me. And I was very eager to learn more. Like when I took a look at the lab report, and it's, even understanding um, the different type of equipment, because we don't have the bioresonance devices commonly in the United States.
Yeah.
It's not like you could go somewhere and get it tested, but I feel like it should be. And I'm like, we're like, why isn't it here yet? And we all have our own ideas, but just like, geez, maybe they just don't want us to know about this. But, and I feel like there is a lot of knowledge out there that is being suppressed. And I like to learn about those things, and I like to share it with my audience. It's probably gotten me to always sound a little bit crazy, but it's interesting, after being years and years crazy, people come back and say, what was the thing you were talking about? I want to learn more about that. So I don't know if it's crazy anymore. I think it's just being open to um, concepts and ideas. And when you think about it, or at least for me, the quantum science, the quantum physics is, you know, it's not crazy talk. It's actually more real to me than anything. And when my friends, let me know if you agree, when they say, oh, this just sounds too good to be true, it can't be true, and that's how I felt when I read all the improvements that different people were experiencing, and not just one or two, I mean a lot of people. And they had the same chance, just like me. If it didn't work, they could send it back, but you wouldn't be able to claw it out of their home. They would just hang on to it with their dear life because they love it so much. It's really just understanding that science is like, when I was a kid and I saw, somebody make a coin on top of a table move, and it was like magic. And I'm like, that's not happening. How is this? There must be a trick. It can't be real. It can't be science. And then you learn about the magnet that's moving around underneath the table that's moving the coin. So to me, it's almost like that. It reminds me very much of, it's not that this isn't real. It's very real. It's just a lot of people haven't dove deep enough into that quantum science to understand how it's working, but it's real and it's there, to me anyway. I just wish that I could give people the knowledge that I've had after many, many hours, as you might know, of reading about this. I wish I could just download it into their brain so that they could understand. For me, it's very real. It's provable. It's done with all these testings. Of course, the tough part is it's inconsistent because we're individuals. We have different experiences and a different exposure to different elements. But other than that, for simple purposes, maybe this isn't the most accurate way of saying it, but in simple terms, it's almost like the device is structuring me to optimize, the purpose of my function, which is to have this human experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would like end our interview with this because I wouldn't like. There's no way how I could sum it up better in better words than you just done right now. Uh, so yes, I mean it's a great approach and the way how you think about it, and it's as you're saying, it's very individual. And that's why we offer 60-day money back guarantee. So you can try it out. I mean, it might usually it works for people. Uh, of course, it happens that people reach out to us. Like I didn't feel anything. That might happen as well. But yeah, you got 60 days to test it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I can't even tell you, I'm really honored. You must be one of the most much busier people that I know with travel and everything like that. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'll turn off the recording, but it'll still